Hello, everyone. So I am about to share this link. I'm pretty much just going to ramble a little bit about me as an ENFJ and my experience with sensing and some things that I've done to try to feel at home. But before I get into that, you feel free to say hello in the comments if you're here. And yeah, I will just share this link to my channels really quick. I know that it has been a while, so whenever it's been a while and I've gotten out of my groove of posting, it's kind of easier for me to just go on a live stream because then I feel like I can talk with you guys directly. I have been just thinking a lot about habits and like building a foundation lately, and I feel like I've been realizing how it's hard for me to make a sensory foundation because all of the ways that I see people talking about that is like through a sensing lens, if that makes sense. And I realize that for me to find my footing in that way, I have to think about it in like the reverse way. I have to think about my like intuitive health or my vibe or whatever you want to call it. I have to be looking at the intuitive way of things. Sorry. First, before I can find a sensory footing in whatever I'm doing. And feel free to say hi as I'm sharing this link. I recently got a new laptop. I've recently moved. I'm feeling a lot of momentum from sensory changes right now. Hello. Hi, Mandel. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Ian, and hi, Ed. Okay, some of you guys are here. So, yeah, whenever I first started my YouTube channel, I thought about wanting to do YouTube for like years before I ever got the courage to do it. And the funny thing is that I would dream about all these different videos that I wanted to do. And I would get so distracted in my head of like the ideas that I never actually did anything. And that happened for years. If you guys don't know, I've been like active in MBTI and personality communities since 2012. And I didn't really get consistent in uploading content until 2017. And I posted a few videos in 2015. But what I realized is like, how was I able to be consistent? How was I able to make a new habit? What I had to do was I told myself that I had to post a simple video once a day for 30 days. And so if you go back to my channel, I think it was August of 2017, I like forced myself to do a video every day. And what's so funny to me is that those videos that I did in my 30-day challenge are still my most popular videos. This was back whenever I did my what I as an ENFJ thinks about the INTP and the INFP and INFJ and all that. So what's so funny to me is that what got me started in having the confidence to make videos was me telling myself that, oh, all you need to do is upload some shitty video like once a day. And then once you get the hang of it, then you can do the good videos you want to do or whatever. The thing is that those videos that I did are my most popular videos. And I don't think I've ever been able to beat that. And I think that that's really interesting to me, especially if you are an ENFJ or an NJ. We can hype ourselves up with NI of what we want things to look like. And it's like, as you can see from that story, I like kind of used SE in order to try and get myself a new sensory habit. I didn't really know how to just like adjust my habits and start doing something little by little. I've never really been able to do that. I also uploaded a video, one of my first videos, that this is just sort of tangential yet related to me, is that whenever I was 12, I started drinking Diet Coke very obsessively. And it was because my mom said that I couldn't drink Diet Coke. I wasn't allowed. But you know what? My mom was at work and my bus from middle school got home earlier than her. So I always had a Diet Coke after school, and I hid the remnants underneath my bed. And it started this whole thing where I like, from age literally 12 to 22, I drank like 6 Diet Cokes a day. Like my best friends like made fun of me for it. Like I got like Diet Cokes for my birthday. Like it was like a thing where I would walk into the room and be like, there's Megan with her Diet Coke. Or like I would show up late to things because I needed a Diet Coke. And I kind of came to this NI realization, like I think that was also 2017, where I was like, oh, this is actually psycho that I'm late to things because of a Diet Coke. Like, that's not how I want to live my life. I don't, even though it's just Diet Coke, I don't want there to be something, like some random thing that causes me, that like is out of my control. Like I didn't like not feeling in control of it. So once I had the realization of like, oh, this actually makes me feel out of control, I don't like that feeling, then I was able to stop drinking Diet Coke cold turkey. And I've done a lot of things cold turkey. I have made so many changes cold turkey. It's actually insane. But what happens first is the NI realization that something needs to change. Once there is that realization, then the SE of, okay, I'm going to just go execute on that change is actually pretty easy. But if I try and force myself to do something that I don't have a realization about yet, then it's not going to happen. Especially if it's something that everybody's telling me, oh, you should try and cut back little by little, or you should try and ease off of this. Like, I don't think I've ever eased off on anything. So that is just a little bit of background about my relationship to habits. And what I wanted to, I guess, address with that too is that whenever like coronavirus happened, and then whenever coronavirus happened and everything kind of shifted, it's like my girlfriend started staying at my place, like working from home. And once we were working from home, it's like I never felt like I could do a video because I felt like I was bothering her, or, oh gosh, what happened? God damn it. I know it's not that big of a deal, but it's just annoying. Okay, that's another bad sort of sensing thing, is I just got like extremely confused by the fact that my video is not a mirror, and I was like moving this way, and I was like, that really tripped me out for a second. Yeah, so, gosh, what was I saying? Once something like messes with my sensory routine, I never really take it seriously. I assume that everything's going to continue, but it doesn't continue. Whenever there's a change in your sensory routine, your habits change. At least, I don't know if that's true for everyone, but that's definitely true for me. And I believe that for intuitives in general, that it might be a thing in which it is difficult to recognize the ways in which sensory changes impact us. I feel like when this whole pandemic thing started, my initial thing was like, oh, now I have more free time to be in my NI world and daydream, and I can say no to plans, and like, oh, I intuitively feel like I need a break right now. And so that's great. Like if I can give myself a break, I'd love that. Obviously I was also like thinking about all the implications and like everything going on in society that like depressed me for a bit, or like I definitely felt the weight of all of that. But as far as like my daily life of having to make like physical changes of having less space in my house, or like honestly everything piled up at once, it's like not only was my girlfriend like literally with me 24/7, which is fine, like we never like I never minded her being there, but just the fact that I literally didn't have a second of alone time, and I also wasn't ever outside. Like those are the things that I don't think about. And also then my dishwasher broke, and then I found a mouse, and then we kept seeing spiders, and I was kind of losing my mind because my old place was only like 400 square feet. And I have the mentality of like, it's just a spider, or like, oh, we'll just set up a mouse trap. It'll be fine, whatever. But like, I feel like I, for months, like didn't ever feel like I could decompress like whatsoever. God damn it. Yeah, I like was not decompressing. I didn't feel that feeling of like, like after a long day's work. I never feel that. But yeah, so I've moved into a new place, and I've been thinking a lot about my sensory preferences. Like even like I feel like it's like this whole process of learning what works for me and what doesn't. So for example, I had a corner desk that in my old place, and the point of it was to save space. And I thought that looking into a corner would force myself to focus. I thought that doing that, I would eliminate distraction. But all it did was make me feel like I was in a cubicle, and it did not work for me. I never sat at that desk. I do this thing where I'll lie to myself and be like, oh, I'll use that desk. And then I don't use it. I'm curious if other NJs can relate to that, or any intuitives in general, where I can be in such intense denial about my sensory things. I'll be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll use that again. Or even like with clothes, it's like, oh, I haven't worn that in 2 years, but it's cute, so I'll definitely wear it. I don't like know really how to gauge that. So every time that I like realize that I either like wasted money or wasted energy or anything like that, because it's like I come to find out that actually isn't my sensory preference, it actually causes a lot of shame for me, where it's like, oh my goodness, I just got this desk like 2 years ago and I'm not using it. So this ENFJ here says she totally relates to lying to herself. And then INFJ Austin also says you relate. So it can be really frustrating. And I feel like I don't see a lot of NJs talking about this, and probably because we don't find it that important. Or maybe we find it boring. Because it's like, if you like Google ENFJ or INFJ, or you see what people are talking about that are NJs, a lot of times it's like, we are so visionary, daydreamy people, and we like have the best ideas. And it's like, okay, yeah, but what about the other side of that? And that's what I guess I've been thinking about a lot now, because I feel like, for example, like living such in close quarters with my girlfriend, which now we have a 2-bedroom. I moved in with her and everything, and it's great too. Like this is like a little office area. I have this new desk and it looks out the window and there's nothing here. Like I realized that I actually don't want to put pictures of friends and pictures of quotes and everything near my desk. I always would lie to myself and say that I enjoyed that. Really, I just enjoyed thinking about other things that won't work. Really, I just enjoyed thinking about friends and quotes. Doesn't make me focus, believe it or not, but I told myself that it did. This also reminds me too that I would tell myself in college that I just worked better with the TV on with 5 friends over or something, or I just was better at studying at ordering pizza at the student lounge or something. Like I just, and to some extent, I don't know if other like ENFJs can relate to this, but like to some extent it's true because I was needing to engage in my SE in order to force some sort of focus. But and sometimes I do need to like make things fun or like change up a location or make things interesting in order to keep up with the sensory demands of life. But yeah, what I was saying though earlier is that I told myself like, oh, well, my partner doesn't mind if I make videos. And so all I have to do is find a time to do it and then tell her, hey, I'm going to make a video really quick and then do it. The thing is that then brushes up against my FE, is because then my FE, which is higher than anything else, doesn't want to be in the way. That's a huge issue. That's a huge issue for me in my momentum, because it's like I created this momentum for myself, like this habit, and now because I fell out of it because of the sensory changes, it's like having to get back up again. And that's what I've been realizing about creating sensory momentum, especially for me in the SE, is that it's like when people say the first step is the hardest, like that's very true. It's like you're climbing up onto something, you're jumping onto a cycle. It's almost like there's this spinning wheel of like a ritual. And when you first start it, you have to like hop on at like the right time. And once you're on it, you can ride the wave. And if you make a mistake, or if you drop the ball, or if you stop doing a habit, then you have a moment of time to try and get back up. But if you stop it for a while, then like you've created a new habit of doing nothing that you then have to get out of. And that's like sometimes all it takes is just doing something again. But if you're an NJ, it's difficult to want to do something if it's not going to be the perfect right thing to do, or if you don't feel intuitively inspired to do that exact perfect thing. So especially like for ENFJs with inferior TI, it is, we can second guess, like, is that a good idea? Does that make sense? Is this what people want to hear? And things like that. And so, but yeah, the way my FE would rub up against that is that even though I literally knew that my partner didn't mind if I made a video, and she's told me that multiple times, it's like I still didn't, because I didn't want to be in her way. And so I'm trying to figure out, and now just having like a new space, I'm like, do I want to do my videos here? Do I want to do them in the living room area? Things like that. And I just completely overanalyze what my next step should be. But going back to the title and feeling at home, something I've been thinking about a lot is how, as I've mentioned, I don't really feel like I let myself feel a sense of inner peace. I actually made a video about this not too long ago. It's been a few months ago, maybe now, but it wasn't that long ago. Sorry, I'm trying to remember, about creating from a place of peace. And I've been integrating that understanding a lot more lately, where it's like, if I am creating from a sense of lack whatsoever, of like, I'm just, and I do this to try and keep up the momentum, where it's like, oh, I need to keep doing videos, even if some of them are not as good as others, because if I don't, then I'm going to lose my momentum and my groove, and I'm going to fall out of it. But at the same time, whenever I approach anything that I'm creating from like a clear head, then that's when the best things that I create come out. Whenever I feel calm, then I feel like that energy comes through. I'd be curious, but like what you guys think if you've been watching me for a while, but I'm even realizing now that I feel like the energy that I'm bringing here is different than sort of the energy that I brought a couple of years ago. I used to be a lot more like ranty, but like, not that I'm not ranty now, but really a lot of that just has to do with your sensory body being relaxed or not. And to be honest, like about feeling at home, it's like, obviously you feel, well, not obviously, it depends on the person, but for me, like I felt at home as a child because that's what home is. That's what I learned what home is whenever I first made an association with what home is. It was with my parents, my sister, and my house. And then, you know, I went to college and I moved every single year in college. I, you know, immediately let go of home, moved into a dorm room with another person. And because I don't think about the sensing, I'm just like, oh, whatever, this is fun. This is a new experience. And I don't think I ever learned any sensing habits. As an adult, I'm going to be 26 in a few weeks, or like less than that, 20 days now. Yeah. I didn't adapt any new sensory habits. In a way, it seemed like, well, now that I'm out of my parents' house, I don't have to worry about those stupid things. So but even though I might think of it as I'm not creating a sensory habit, I actually am creating some, which might be, you know, once I turn 21, thinking it's cool to buy alcohol just because I can, and having beer in my fridge at all times. And even though I don't binge drink that much or like drink that much, it's still like, do I need to have that in my fridge at all times? Like things like that I just like, I don't think about, but like I would do it kind of out of rebellion to the fact that I didn't want to have specific sensory rules. Like I'm a vegetarian now, but whenever I first became like an adult and like was in college and everything, I would get a lot of like just frozen pizzas and stuff like that. And it would be sort of like, oh, okay, so I guess I could just do whatever I want then, now that my mom's not like telling me what to do, sort of thing. Golden Fox says, it's interesting to me how much the perception shifts when NI gets from tertiary to auxiliary. Yeah, and this is kind of tangentially related to that, but I feel like a lot of what I'm saying right now too is kind of my tertiary SE, to where I can overdo it a little bit. And I have experience of like overdoing it, or like thinking that I could do anything to my body. I can just work all day and never sleep, and talk all day and never relax. Like that's exactly what tertiary extroverted sensing can be like, is as though I don't know my limits. I've always had like my eyes are bigger than my stomach syndrome, not only figuratively, but also literally. When I get food, I almost always think that I need more than what I actually end up needing. I eat very fast, and then also sometimes if there's only a few bites left and I'm full, I'll feel guilty for not finishing it. So I'll finish it even if I was no longer hungry. So I do that constantly. But yeah, so it's like I felt at home with my parents, but even then, like nobody's going to feel fully like at home with themselves when you're a child, because you don't have full autonomy over yourself because you're still a child, right? And so I guess really what I've just been thinking about as I'm reflecting on my adulthood and stuff is that I feel like, you know, I moved every single year from like 18 to 24. And then the last place I lived with, I was there for 2 years, but I didn't really like it. I never like settled myself. It's like I didn't have enough storage space, so I just would sort of keep things in the closet. And I guess like what I'm saying is that for me, at least, I never really feel fully at home whenever it's just myself, but I also never really feel fully at home when I'm with others, at least not always, because it's like my NI feels like I can't just exist as I am or whatever. But I just wanted to kind of share that I'm so grateful that I moved in, you know, with my partner. I've never done anything like that before. I've never been in that serious of a relationship whatsoever. And I'm finding myself shocked at how big of a step it is, because when we decided to do it, it didn't feel like a big deal. And, you know, she's an INFJ, and we both thought about it similarly of, oh yeah, sure. Yeah. We're just going to move into this place. Yeah. And we're like, every single day, it's been like 3 weeks. It's like, oh my God, natural light. Oh my God, hardwood floors. We're just like, holy shit, we have washers and dryers. We're just like freaking out at like the sensory stuff. And also how crazy it is. Like it's such a, I guess, intimate step to like go through your spoons as a couple and throw out the spoons that you don't like. Like things like that. I'm finding myself shocked by that it's that big of a change, or that it's impacting me. So, because I don't anticipate it to, because the intuition was already there that we already felt comfortable with each other. So to move things seems sort of like an afterthought to me. But it really does change the vibe of things. And it's crazy how much it impacts your mental health as well, whenever things are in order. So I feel at home, and I'm confused by that feeling. And I don't think that I would have even realized that I didn't feel at home before, because a lot of my adulthood has been running around with my head cut off in a way of like trying to make ends meet every single month, and like being open to new possibilities and trying to share my journey along the way. You know, like I'm pretty lucky to have grown up like middle class, but my parents are heavily in debt. I'm heavily in debt. I've dealt with two car wrecks and a car being stolen. And like, I have it pretty lucky compared to a lot of people, especially right now. Like in America, the economy is like going to shit, and people aren't getting their stimulus checks, and, you know, entire industries are shut down. And I am very lucky in a lot of ways. But for me, like I have kind of been scrambling like for years, you know, and so I never even thought that, like, and it's been fine for me because I don't care about a lot of sensory things. Like it'll just be something like, well, I hate this blanket, but it's the blanket I have, so I'm using it because I'm not prissy. I don't need a better blanket. Just like things like that. It all piles up. It's like, I like hate my coffee mugs. I hate my bowls. I hate my cups. I hate my blanket. I hate it all. I hate my shoes. They need to be thrown away. I've had the same one for years. Things like that. And like, I don't complain because it's just whatever. But like, if all of that is there, it adds to, and if you are an NJ, you will probably relate to this. If that is, it's not a big deal if it's just one thing. If your entire life is full of things that don't match your sensory preference, then all it does is make you detach from your body even more. So I'm realizing liking your things makes you more present in a way. And the solution isn't like, oh, just buy more things, because not everybody could do that. And obviously there's always going to be a trade-off there. But like I think that that's what I'm starting to really enjoy, is like planting my seeds in the sensory and finding a home and a space for myself, and like allowing myself to think about what my preferences are. I mean, even like we have flowers on our porch, you know, we have like a bonsai tree now, and thinking about like, oh, like what kind of plants like could I have? Um, and also like I'm so excited to like fully decorate this place, because we already have so many different mood lighting situations. Like our room has purple lamps, and then the kitchen has like red lamps, and we're just like, we have like two lava lamps, and I'm gonna get these like rainbow things that hang in the windows and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, I'm realizing I'm sick of detaching from the sensory. I'm sick of not noticing how it impacts me, and I'm really realizing how much not only does that my outside surroundings impact, you know, how I'm able to be present, but another thing too, this is silly, but food. I'm realizing that when you eat your vegetables, your mind is sharper. And I know that that's crazy, but it's true. And the thing is that if you aren't intuitive, you might not be motivated by, oh, eat well because it's going to make your body look better or something. I'm not motivated by that whatsoever. And I feel lucky in that way, that I guess none of my experiences led me to have a lot of like body issues. I know a lot of people have struggled with that, but for me, the way it's been is that I've been so neutral and detached about my body that I don't even pay attention or have an opinion about it. And so, I mean, even like I'm starting to notice things like, it was 4th of July this past weekend, and my parents have a pool, so I went over there, and there's a lot of food. And as a vegetarian, you don't know how many different like cheese blocks I've eaten. And I feel like shit when all I've eaten is cheese. And especially since I don't like eat meat, like if I'm not making sure that I am eating like enough nutrients, then it's so hard to focus. And I think that like, if you are an intuitive, you might need to connect eating well to something that's more intuitive. Like for me, I'm connecting like, well, I'm realizing through my experiences that I'm more creative whenever my fuel is, you know, working well. And so that might be something to think about. Or even like the reason why I'm vegetarian is because of a more intuitive reason of, part of it is for sustainability, and part of it is, you know, the ethics. But the dumbest, most intuitive reason that I don't really tell that many people, but I guess I'll tell you, is that I don't want to be ingesting the energy of slaughter into my soul. And I know that that's might be silly, it might be relatable to some of you, but I don't want that vibe near me. It's just not for me. And that is honestly the most convincing part than anything sensory, to be honest. So I guess what I'm just saying is that, especially if you are an ENFJ, you might overestimate your sensing, and you might be working a lot on investing in your thinking and stuff like that. But your sensing needs work too. If you're an INFJ, you might be even more aware of how bad your sensing is. I've noticed when living with an INFJ that she's so aware of how bad her sensing is that she's so meticulous about the sensing, because she's like aware of that. She struggles with it. And so she's very slow at unpacking things, but it's because everything needs to be in its perfect place, which I really appreciate that, because it's almost like she is slow and has less energy for the sensing, but she wants it to be done right the first time so that she doesn't have to navigate it all like later on. Whereas for me, I just sort of throw things on the wall, or like I just throw things wherever they fit, and then I'm never happy with it. but she's actually like taking me through this process of actually making sure that everything is settled in like a very holistic way. And I'm very appreciative of that because I've never had that before. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. This was kind of just a ramble. I'll just show this comment right here too. I relate to what you're saying, Megan. I'm learning as well how important SI is for us ENFJs. We go so hard and neglect basic sensory things, but it's important for us to develop and balance it more. Yeah, absolutely. And then Austin says your girlfriend's so relatable. So yeah, another INFJ relating to that, because it's interesting because sometimes I'm just, and she even said to me, she's like, are you for sure that your sensing is higher than mine? How is that possible? And it's not even like that her sensing is higher. It's just that we protect our inferior like a little baby because we kind of feel like it's so precious and fragile that that's like how INFJs treat their sensing. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm full of video ideas. I'm getting back in the habit of things. I also want to let you guys know that I am offering one-on-one coaching again. I kind of have taken that off for a second. I'm going to have the link below. The way I'm doing it is that you can pay directly on Squarespace and like on my website. And then once you pay, I will give you, like, I will email you like within 2 days and like give you a time to give you my calendar so you can pick a time. But I have it on there so that there's only so many slots available per month. So you won't be able to pay for it unless I'm able to meet with you within a month. So like I'm changing the stock or the amount of stock. So it might say out of stock or something. And if it says out of stock, then you can email me and I can just let you know whenever there's more availability. But right now I only have 5 spots because I'm trying to not overwhelm myself. But you can do like a 90-minute like coaching session with me where we talk about your cognitive functions and integrating yourself. Or if you just want to ask me some questions about type, maybe you're curious, like, is this SI that I'm seeing in me or is this SE? You can schedule a call with me, and that's like cheaper and shorter just to do like a Q&A sort of thing. That won't be an official typing session, but if you want to know, if you have a question about like something you're going through with another person and you want to know how type relates, I'd be happy to help you with that. Also on June 18th or July 18th, Crystal and I are going to be hosting a discussion. I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet or the exact time, but you can also join my membership group, which is now $12 a month, because that membership group is going to pretty much just be a monthly discussion for people to get together and talk about our type. I'm really wanting to make it like a fun discussion that includes type as opposed to like a lecture about type. I've done workshops like that where it's more of a lecture and it's fun, but I want something a little bit more intimate and fun. But I'm probably going to still be like hosting more workshops regularly, but you won't have to sign up for a membership to do that. The membership's going to just be for like, if you want to be there for the live discussion event. But thank you guys for listening to my rambles. And also one last thing, Mark Dan, speaking of SI, what happened to your Chill ISFJ's account? I don't know. I wish I did. And I'm very, very sad about it. So I hope that she's okay. I don't want to like cause a bunch of publicity by saying this. So maybe I shouldn't have even mentioned it, but just so you know, I don't know. I really hope that she's okay. And I actually was kind of sad about it when I realized that her account was gone. So hopefully she's back. Thank you guys for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks.